welcome to this week's episode 8 of Impacted. And this week we're going to be talking Turning Point. But without further ado, it's time to introduce you to my brother from another mother. He comes in from the empty space of his mind in the void. The Joker!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
You're so odd, but I love you, brother. I love you. Okay, so that was really cool.
I don't know where that came from. I was going to try something, but I did the broken Matt Hardy one ages ago.
That was good. So anyway, so we're getting there. I mean, these build-ups are getting bigger. I'm starting to really get into them now, and eventually I'm going to get a pop from you. I'm sure eventually I'm going to get the pop. You know, it's not going to be easy. You're making me work for it, Joe. You're making me work for it, but I'm going to do it. I'm determined. I'm going to do it. All right.
Well, the glasses came off. You don't mean to business.
How's your week been, brother?
Oh, it's been very good. Birthday yesterday.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, they got to make sure we do that. Happy birthday to the Joker.
Thank you.
And how old are you now, my brother?
33.
33. Good Lord. Do you know how old I am?
42.
46.
Ah, close enough.
46, man. I'm getting closer and closer to the big 5-0. You know I only look 21.
Oh, yeah.
I understand that, but I am getting closer and closer to the big 5-0. I believe one of your favourite stars was the big 5-0 recently. This week, your favourites.
Happy birthday to Chris Jericho.
The demo god himself.
Yeah. Bit of a coincidence. The day I got back home was the 20th of August. That was the day he debuted at the WWE.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think there's some sort of divine link between myself and the champion.
Oh, right. Maybe there is. But anyway, getting back to Impact. So we've got a few news items that I want to quickly discuss before we get into, obviously, our predictions for Turning Point, because this is the Turning Point prediction show. But there are a couple of things that have come out in the last sort of kind of like few days or so. We've already talked about it a little bit previously, because I sort of kind of had a feeling that maybe the Rascals would be departing Impact. Now, however, I'm starting to think that, yes, they're going to be gone for a little while, but I'm starting to think that possibly it's a work. I'm not 100% convinced that they're going to be gone for long. I think it's part of a story. They're going to go off. They'll probably go and spend a couple of months with MLW or, somewhere like that for a while, maybe even Ring of Honor. Maybe that's where they're off to. Maybe they're off to Ring of Honor for a couple of months.
Yeah, there's been speculation on that, so I'm hoping that's the point. And
then all of a sudden they'll be injected into the storyline again, because there's something that happened last night, which I thought was on last night's episode of Impact, which I thought was a bit strange, especially if they're departing the company. All right, so but. Yeah, so there is a possibility these guys are departed. I know that they have been, stating on the socials that, goodbye and all this kind of stuff. But like I said, I just have a feeling, they got evicted from the treehouse last night. So there's a segment about that. They then end up kind of having to interacting with Rich Swann, which led to setting up like some sort of kind of like goodbye dream match of the Dez and Wentz versus Trey and Rich, which I think is going to be an incredible match. That's apparently going to be next week on Impact. Now, what's interesting about that though is that again, Rich Swann is the world champion, and it's almost like you're sort of kind of like showcasing the Rascals and what they can do, and then letting them go. For me, that's kind of I understand that Impact is about building their stars. They're about having good relationships and working with the talents and stuff. But I've never known a company that if a star's departing that they then big them up kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that seems to be what's going on here. You know, they're kind of bigging them up. And I know that they've had a couple of losses recently. So, you know, maybe it's Impact's way of saying, look, these guys are great. You need to sign them. I don't know. You know, for me, I think that it's more a work. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why now. Later on in this past week's Impact, there was a point where Sami Callihan comes out and starts laying the beat down and all this kind of, you know, with the Chris Bay and the Eddie Impact match. But who comes out to help at this point?
We saw those little rascals.
We saw the rascals, right? So they come out to help. And then what you see is almost like this in-ring thing of Eddie, Rich, and the rascals. Now, they look like a faction. Does it not look like a faction to you?
Now that you've mentioned it, it does look like there's something. Going back to the point you made earlier, they gave Santana and Ortiz a really big build-up before they departed. If anything, I'm hoping it is like a temporary thing, or if Des and Wentz go for a little while and Trey stays on, but I think Trey was the one that has had more of a presence on MLW. Yeah. So, you know, I think they might be doing something with MLW for a little while and then coming back. That's what I'm hoping. I really hope it doesn't end up with them going to AEW or Impact or WWE, which I doubt they're going to go to WWE. The most likely one would be Ring of Honor or AEW.
Yeah.
And MLW, where they can really showcase what they can do.
I just think it's kind of strange, you know, that you would almost showcase these guys like into a story type scenario as well, because you kind of had this almost like you create this face faction in the ring.
Yeah.
That was looking down on this, you know, building faction that we believe. I mean, we've spoke about this before. We think that Sami, EY, Ken, and now it looks like Chris Bay has been sort of kind of brought into this as well. So you kind of got this, like, I don't know, heel faction building. Well, of course, if you've got heels factions, then you're going to need some faces, right?
Oh, definitely. You know, Eddie Edwards is the face of the company. Eric Young is the face of Insanity. Sami Callihan is the Death Machine. You need some balance.
You've got to have the faces face the heels and the heels face the face, if that makes sense. It's interesting. I mean, you know, anyway, I don't know. I you know, again, it's just my opinion. It's just the things that wish around in my head when I'm watching stuff, and I just think, oh, where's this going to go? You know, this is, you know, it's cool, but where is it going?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what I'm looking at the moment. The way I saw it, I saw two factions, a face and a heel faction, facing off against each other at that moment. It just seems strange that you would bring the Rascals into the storyline, or a potential storyline, if they were then going.
Yeah, Taya Valkyrie did post something about the Rascals possibly leaving as well on Twitter, which had me thinking, is this it for him? But I really do hope it's not. Because Taya Valkyrie's a big fan of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know where this is going. You know, if they depart, I really, really hope that we get to see them come back. I really, really do. You know, it'll be interesting to see exactly where this goes. You know, I honestly believe that there is a potential for them, you know, to come back into the fray. You know, through whatever, maybe that they just sort of kind of disappear, and then all of a sudden, you know, you know, a pay-per-view like Slammiversary or something, or maybe not Slammiversary, maybe one of these, you know, I don't know. They come back in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, they come back. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes on. Now, the other thing I want to mention, obviously, we've already talked about the Super Bay Cup. I mean, the Super J Cup that's going on with regards to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I was really pleased to see, and it also adds to, obviously, the speculation that there could be a decent working relationship now building between Impact and New Japan, because it was fully mentioned with graphics and everything on this past week's Impact. So I was really pleased to see that. And obviously they're now helping promote New Japan. But also, interestingly, what we also got was a mention with regards to AEW and Kenny Omega, with Don turning up at the recent pay-per-view. Full Gear?
Full Gear.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see that now they're also kind of like dropping in stuff to do with AEW. So we've got, I don't know, what's going on?
It's really sparked my interest of finally get around to catching up with AEW now that Don Callis is showing up. So something must be turning around in the right direction.
Yeah, there's something going on here. I mean, they're obviously building bridges, they're building relationships. Like you said, Impact was mentioned on at Full Gear because Don was there. We had a graphic on the screen. Good old JR bigged up Impact, which was great. And of course, obviously, now Impact are bigging up AEW, and they talked about Kenny Omega and everything by name.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, and I'm going to be interested to see where this goes. Are we? Is there something building here? I don't know.
I can see Vince McMahon throwing a bit of a tantrum now that AEW and Impact Wrestling are collaborating a bit more, and New Japan Wrestling it has been announced New Japan Wrestling is looking to rebuild bridges with Impact. There's been a couple of articles out from different websites there that New Japan and Impact are looking to brush everything else under the carpet and hopefully
I think so.
I think we talked about it last week. If Don Callis can get that to work, then that's fantastic, because then New Japan Wrestling works with AEW as well.
Yeah,
so there's a big cross promotion there.
It's almost like we're starting to see now, because obviously you've got EC3, who's sort of kind of now involved with Ring of Honor. He's not going to be around so much now. We're not going to see him with Impact for a while. It's almost like he's setting up these like 3-month things where he's sort of kind of going around all the different, is he going to turn up at NWA, MLW, AEW? We just don't know. But at the moment, I would imagine he's got his 3-month program set up with Ring of Honor, so that's where he's going to be. I'm sure at some point we'll see him start to set up where he's going next. During the time that he's at Ring of Honor. He's controlling his narrative. That's part of his character. It makes sense what he's doing. I still believe that eventually he will end up back with Impact Wrestling. I honestly believe that. I think that's where his heart is. I think that's where he's going to end up. But in the meantime, he's going to go around all the different companies, he's going to control his narrative, and then when it comes to it, he's going to decide that Impact's for him. That's what I think. That's what I feel is going to happen. That's just my opinion. As I always say,
it reminds me of what Drew Galloway did. When he left for WWE, he went to several different promotions. He went to Evolve, he went to Impact, did a couple of matches at Ring of Honor and a couple of matches in Japan. He really rebuilt himself to get himself back to the WWE. And I think EC3 is doing the same for it, to get himself, just rebuild himself after everything went tits up in WWE.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's learned his lesson. I don't think WWE's for EC3. I think he's going to end up becoming a huge star. One of those that will be talked about in 10 years time, 20 years time, that basically they dropped the ball on. And look at this guy. Look how big he is. Look what he's done.
Yeah, Moose keeps bigging him up now as well. And even though EC3's got Moose is now controlling his narrative. He's carrying on EC3's plot. Yeah. So there's something going on there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's almost like he's building the faction members, through the different companies. He's like picking up on, say, for instance, the Briscoes now. Yeah. He's working with the Briscoes at Ring of Honor. Are we going to see Moose, the Briscoes, EC3, all part of this sort of kind of, this control your narrative faction? No, it's going to be very interesting to see how that all pans out. And of course, one other thing is we've got this Friday live on Fight TV, Talking Shopper Mania 2. Now, I'm excited for this one. As some of you may have already know, I did an interview with the Good Brothers earlier in the week. It was released on Monday. So please go and check that one out. Bison Talks Impact interview with the Good Brothers. It was really cool. It was really hard for me not to mark out. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. Did you catch it, Joe?
I did. I watched it all, and I want to say thank you to Doc Gallows for what you had to say about me and the Bison covering it. You said Scott Demore maybe should be paying attention to what we had to say, or just a quickly. So Scott, we're here.
We are here. We're here, my friend, and we are spreading the positive vibe of Impact Wrestling. That's for sure.
Well,
so
we're representing the UK.
We are representing
whether everyone likes it or not.
But what's interesting is that obviously, again, this past week on Impact, we saw that Impact Wrestling, promoted Talking Shop and Mania about 2 or 3 times through the this week's show. Again, we saw the advert, we saw the promo, everything else. It was really good. They really pushed it, and I thought that was fantastic. We saw a fantastic match between Carl Anderson and Josh Alexander as well, which I thought was going to break down, but I thought it would break down a lot quicker than that. So we really got a treat, because I think those guys worked so well together. It was a good match. And Talking Shop and Mania this Friday, the worst pay-per-view ever, Rise of the Torturer. You've got to watch it. I've got it. I've already got it, guys. So, join the Bison. Join the Joe-Ker while we watch Talking Shop Mania 2. It's going to be a good one. So there you go. That's that dealt with. Now, we've already talked about the possibility of the 2 factions building. I think what we need to do is we need to get into the main event of today's show, which is Turning Point. Now, Turning Point this week, Impact Plus special. I believe it's going to be available also on Premier Sports in the UK. So if you signed up to that, hopefully Turning Point's available on that as well. Now, and if not, you need to sign up to Impact Plus, get your subscription in. Don't want to miss this one, because it's going to be an absolute, put it this way, if Victory Road is anything to go by, then this is going to be an absolute barnstormer as well, isn't it, Joe?
Oh, I'm hoping I can catch it one way or another.
I'm sure we'll get it sorted, my friend. I'm sure we'll get it sorted. So let's talk about predictions. Now, I've got the card in front of me. We recently had another one just added, which was the Storm Saber Triple XL, but we'll get to that in a minute. The first official, match on the card, which I believe will probably be the opener, will be Brian Myers versus Swoggle. Now, I know that this has taken a little bit of a beating online. Like, why Brian Myers versus Swoggle? What's Myers getting out of this? What's Impact getting out of this? It's a joke. Okay, I disagree. Because if you catch, Swoggle on the indie circuit, the guy can wrestle. The guy's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just have a feeling that this is going to be one of those matches that we get to see a proper full-on wrestling match with Swoggle versus Brian Myers. Yes, Brian Myers for me is going to win. Of course, Brian Myers is going to win. It would be silly if Brian Myers didn't win. But I think we're going to get a pretty good match. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm looking forward to seeing it, because every time I've seen Swoggle, it's always been, as he's put it, he's always been a joke. I've seen a couple of spots he's done on the indies, and I've seen him take a hell of a beating. But the majority of what I can recap from his career has been the stuff he's done at WWE when he was with Finlay, and the thing he did with Vince McMahon. And the odd spots when he's come out in Impact Wrestling, they've not been as serious as I'd hoped to see. But when he came out during that match with Tommy Dreamer with the Nutcracker into Myers, I had a feeling that after we saw him at Bound for Glory, that something's got to happen. They can't just make these appearances one or two one-offs. So to have him in a match with Brian Myers, given that there's actually a lot of history between them and a lot of history between Swoggle and Tommy Dreamer, so this isn't just something popped out for the sake of popping a matchup. There's a lot of history between all of them. And Swoggle's cut interview after Bound for Glory that he's come back to Impact Wrestling to redeem himself.
Yeah, and prove he is not a joke.
Yeah, and I respect that fully. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this match pans out, regardless who wins.
Yeah, right. Now, but we do need to put a win, right? So I'm going with Myers. I'm writing all this down, by the way, because when we do our review show, we're going to see who does the best.
Yeah,
right.
Bragging rights.
Bragging rights. We need some bragging rights on this, okay? So I'm going for Myers win. What are you going for?
I'm going to have to say Brian Myers as well.
Okay, so
but I think I know we're going to see Swoggle take a bit of a beating. It's not going to be a squash match.
It's not going to be a squash match. I think we're going to see some really cool offense from Swoggle. But we are going to definitely end up with a Myers win. Definitely 100% from me on that one, and 100% from you by the looks of it on that one. So we're both going for the win from Myers on that one. I've got it recorded, Joe. I've got it recorded. Right, moving on. Now, we also had this past week on Impact Tonight, so we're going to get Eddie Edwards versus Davari. Now, this one for me is really weird because, where's it come from? There's been no build whatsoever into this one, so I find this to be a bit weird. It's great that we're going to get to see Davari, and obviously it looks like he's maybe staying around for a bit longer than we thought, or at least he's going to make an appearance at Turning Point, which is going to be great. But there's been no build to it. Nothing. There's no reason for this match to take place. What are your thoughts?
It reminds me of Marufuji versus Michael Elgin. There's a lot of history between Marufuji and Michael Elgin though from New Japan, but it was never really discussed on Impact Wrestling.
Okay. So what you're saying is that potentially what we've got is maybe there's some sort of kind of like backstory to know about. Is that right?
I've not seen Davari a lot in the past, so my first time seeing him was at Bound for Glory. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, what he can really show off. And Eddie Edwards always brings out the best in people. Okay,
let me put this. Who thinks going to win?
I think Eddie Edwards is going to win.
Eddie Edwards. So Joe's going Eddie Edwards, and I'm going to say I'm going to go Eddie Edwards on this one as well. However, right, I have a feeling. Because Davari does his best work. When he was in TNA or Impact previously, he was a heel. So I have a funny feeling that recruit for Callihan.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the way that this is all panning out is that Davari is part of this new heel faction.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why we're getting him versus Eddie Edwards. Now, this has a two-edged sword because I think Eddie's going to win because Eddie Edwards is Eddie Edwards, right?
And Pro Wrestling.
He is the locker room leader. He is the most respected man in that locker room, and he is an amazing wrestler. So and the biggest star out of the two. So I expect Eddie to win. I'm talking myself out of this now, but I have a feeling Davari's going to win.
Yeah, you got the. You're so undecided. I think Eddie Edwards is going to win, but I do think listening to what you just said now, because I think if Davari goes with Sami Callihan and Eric Young, if Eric Young's going to be it, Sami Callihan, Chris Bay, and Ken Shamrock looks the most likely outcome. But I'm also thinking Davari might be going after Rohit Raju as well.
Well, there's, what I mean. There's all sorts of stuff going on in here.
Yeah.
I've decided. I've changed my mind. Okay, I'm going to go with Davari for the win.
Okie dokie.
That's going to be an upset. That's going to be the upset of the night, and I swear to God, it's got something to do with Sami Callihan.
Oh,
right.
So Eddie Edwards is always something with Sami with Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, there's definitely something in there with regards to that. So I don't want to. That's my thoughts. I like to say just my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. But are you still going with Edwards?
I'm still going with Eddie.
Okay, you go, Eddie.
He lost at Victory Road. So to lose two big Impact pluses in a row isn't positive. And I think if Eddie Edwards winning, it's going to set up a bigger fallout from the match than Davari winning and then Davari going and attacking Eddie Edwards or something like that.
Okay. No, I'm down with it. Okay, so you're going to go Eddie. I'm going Davari. So it's interesting. We're starting to get a bit of a split now, my friend. We're starting to get a bit of a split. So it's good. I'm telling you, I'm going to get the bragging rights. So here we go. So we then got announced, and this was quite funny because this past week on Impact, we had a little 2-minute thing with Dashwood, Tenille Dashwood asking Jordynne Grace to be her tag partner, which then led to obviously Tenille Dashwood, Jordynne Grace versus Rosemary and Taya, which is obviously the next matchup. Now, obviously, what they're trying to do, they're sort of kind of like, alluding to, where this is going to go, building into this tournament that we've got starting next week on Impact Wrestling. So interestingly, it didn't work out with Madison Rayne, did it?
No, I was surprised. But again, it's Madison Rayne really putting Tenille Dashwood over.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that no one can work with Tenille Dashwood. I'm going to say that this is going to be Rosemary Taya win.
Yeah, I don't see it being a cohesive unit between Jordynne Grace and Tenille Dashwood, but it's a good way to keep putting Tenille Dashwood over, either win or lose, because since she's come back to Impact Wrestling, she's really proved me wrong. I was pretty unimpressed when the first time around, but since she's come back, everything about her character is really, really shut up, and I love it. And
I think it's taken her to sort of like really push that whole all about me thing. They've given her a little bit more time. They've introduced Caleb with a K, which I think has made a massive difference. As well. And it's going to be interesting to see whether we get a dynamic between the two of them. It's like Grace said, I've got to find out if I can trust you. Clearly she's never going to be able to trust Tenille, because at the end of the day, it's all about Tenille, right? Yeah. We know that it's all about her. So there is, and if all of a sudden they become a team, that narrative doesn't work, does it?
No.
Because that's not all about her. So, so I'm going to go with Rosemary. Also, I think what they're trying to do here as well is they're trying to make the legitimate teams that are going to be in this tournament look good. So, like we had this past week with Tenille and Madison losing to Havoc and Taya, I think we're going to see Dashwood and Grace lose to Rosemary and Taya, which again makes them look strong, ready for the tournament next week.
Yeah, it does throw the question up in the air: is who's Tenille Dashwood going to go into the tournament with?
I just have a feeling that she's not going to be going into the tournament with anybody.
There's three teams. There's Nevaeh and Havoc, there's Rosemary and Taya, Valkyrie, and Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. And I don't see Jordynne Grace getting a partner and going with anyone. So it could be Alicia Edwards and Tenille Dashwood.
Who knows? Maybe it'd be Lish. Maybe it'd be Lish. I don't know. But what I do think is that with Jordynne Grace, I have a feeling that they're if they're going to put her into this tournament, that she's going to be one that brings in someone from the outside. So I think it's going to be Grace with Jordynne Grace with, I don't know, ideally Lufisto, but that's not going to happen. I don't think.
Sadly.
I don't think that's going to happen. But maybe the reason they've been very vocal on Twitter, making it out that it's not going to be them, actually means it is going to be Lufisto. Do you know what I mean? That would become the ultimate surprise.
It's all about K-Fab.
All of a sudden if she turned up. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out as well. But I'd say I'm definitely going for the Rosemary and Taya for the win there, and you're going for that as well.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good. So moving on, we've now got the Moose versus Willy Mac rematch. Now, because we had that match a little while ago. Now we're getting the rematch. This is going to be an absolute slobber knocker because both these guys are hard hitting. They're athletic. And I think this is going to be a great match. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Willy Mac was picked to be one to watch this year, and he has not failed to deliver at all. And the way that Moose has been slowly built up, it's now setting up. This match is going to be absolutely fantastic. I think
this is going to be a contender for match of the night. I'm not going to lie. It's not. I don't think it's for the TNA title, is it? It's just. I'm not sure.
Revenge. It's just Willy Mac wanting to kick the shit out of Moose after what happens.
After everything that's been going down, it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. I'm going to go with Moose for the win.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'm going to play the babyface. So I'm going to go for Willy Mac to win. Although I do have a strong feeling that Moose is probably going to pick up the victory, but I'm going to go for Willy Mac just to split the decision down.
Okay, interesting.
That and I don't doubt Willy Mac's ability to pull off the big surprise.
Well, the interesting thing here is that, is Moose on a recruitment drive for the narrative thing, controlling your narrative? Because I don't know if you noticed, but he was obviously starting to use similar traits that EC3 was, in other words, getting Willie to sort of kind of, beat him down.
Yeah.
It was a very similar sort of style promo which happened this past week on Impact, where when Willie sort of kind of like lost it and went for lever at Moose sort of kind of looked up with a smile on his face, going yeah, like almost like that's exactly what he wanted. And I'm starting to think, is Moose trying to recruit Willy Mac into the control your narrative kind of faction, or whatever it is that it's going to end up being, potentially, is that what's going on here? Are we is there going to be is Willie going to basically lose it and take Moose to the place that Moose wants him to go?
It's looking that way. It's definitely really, really bumping up Moose's heel turn again. It lost a lot of momentum, and now it's been kicked right back up where it needed to be. So this is, like you said, this might be match of the night. I really do think this might be match of the night too. It's going to be really hard to beat Sami Callihan and Rich Swann, but this has got the best chance of doing it.
Yeah, I think this could be an epic match. This really, really could be. But like I said, I'm going for the Moose win. Even though I think this could be something to do with this whole control your narrative thing. But and you're going to go for a Mac win. You might have got me on this one, brother. You might have got me on this one.
Yeah, Willy Mac though, he could snap and get himself disqualified.
You just don't know, do you?
No, you don't
know what's going to happen. Now, we've just had another one added. So before we sort of kind of go into the championship matches, we've just had another one added, which is going to be a tag team match between Chris Saban and James Storm. Sorry about your damn luck, boy. Versus Triple XL. Now,
oh wow.
Over the past couple of weeks, we have seen a real kind of I don't know, like a heel side to the Triple XL, real hard hitting side. Yeah. They don't care. They're there for the beatdown. They're after the tag team titles. And so we've seen a real sort of kind of, a real heelish side to Triple XL, including this past week, a real beatdown. Even though Saban got the win over AC, Saban got an absolute beatdown after the match, which then obviously led to him seeking out James Storm. They had a little moment together, drinking beer, and that was quite good. And then we ended up with this match: Storm Saban versus Triple XL. Now I'm going to go with Triple XL for the win.
I'm going to say Storm and Saban, but this is the first time I heard about this match. I saw the whole card prior to this match being announced. So. To see James Storm again is just fantastic. You guys see my reaction to it when he came back at Bound for Glory. I love James Storm. To see him come back again is just fantastic, and I'm speechless just knowing he's going to be back in the ring again.
I think it's amazing. I'm absolutely over the moon. I've been pushing on the socials quite a lot. We want to see the Cowboy back on Impact, and it's great that we're now getting that. I think there's a lot of fans out there that this to them is a big deal. It's great to see James Storm back. Is he staying for a while? I don't know. He's indicated that this match is probably his the second and the final match for this stint. Doesn't mean to say that we won't see him again, but all I know is that it's amazing to see James Storm back on Impact TV, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing him back in the ring with the legend Chris Saban. So we've got two legends now, two TNA legends,
definitely.
Chris Saban, James Storm, working together. I don't know if this is a first time thing. I'm not sure that these two have ever tagged together before. I know that they obviously Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns, have had a massive feud over the years, but this might well be a first time. So let us know in the comments, actually, guys. I know that Critical Sting, he's definitely would know this. So is this the first time that James Storm and Chris Saban have tagged together? Let us know in the comments below if you know, guys. I'd be very interested to find out, wouldn't you, Joe?
I'd love to get an extra history lesson.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what I'm going to say here also is, like, guys, we're letting you know what our thoughts are on these matches. Please leave us a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on these matches. Who do you think's going to win? Where do you think these storylines are going? Let us know in the comments below. We love interacting with you guys, and you'll notice that we do every single week.
Yeah.
We love interacting with you, so please leave us lots of comments, and then we can, we can see where we all fall. Remember, whatever we discuss on here is our opinions only. Let's hear your opinions in the comments.
Yeah, our predictions are our bragging rights, guys. So if you guys get your predictions on and feel free to laugh at us and let us feel free to laugh at you.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get your predictions in. This is all for me and Joe's. Who's going to be right? We'll find out. Next week when we do the review show. So, okay. So we've got that. So we've got that match up there. Now, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I'm going to go with Triple XL because I think that they're bigging these boys up. And you're going to go with Storm and Saban, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, nice one. So let's move on to the first title match of the night. So we've got the X Division title match, which is billed at the moment as a who can defeat Rohit Open Challenge. Now, who do you think it's going to be? I think this is going to be someone fresh because at the moment, I actually thought, potentially until the Eddie Edwards and Davari match was open, I thought it might have been someone like that.
Yeah.
However, now Davari's being used, Swoggle's being used, who's someone that came in, and also Storm is already being used in that tag match. So, are we going to get to see someone new, Joe?
I hope so. The only other choice I can really narrow it down to would be Suicide.
Or TJP is maybe Manic.
Yeah, or Manic. If it's Manic, that would be better than Suicide because I've not seen Manic was one of the first guys I saw when I started to watch TNA.
Yeah,
and it would be the ultimate swerve because everyone knows that TJP is Suicide or one of the guys who plays Suicide. So if he was to come back as Manic, that would really piss Rohit off as a start off with.
Well, that's the thing here. They've made it very clear.
Yeah.
That the match that they've just had was TJP's last shot at the title, right? They made it very clear.
Yeah.
As Rohit was, going up the ramp, he's like, "That's it, I'm done with you. I don't have to face you ever again." He was actually saying those words as he was backing up. That was what he was saying. So, for me, this to me is a prime opportunity to bring Manic back into the fray. I have a feeling TJP is going to turn up as Manic, and we're going to get Rohit Raju versus Manic for the X Division Championship, and Rohit's going to win.
Oh yeah, I don't see Rohit losing regardless of who it is, but if it's Suicide, if it's Manic, it's just going to be great to see Rohit thrown off his game again.
Okay, here we go. So an extra bonus point. Who do you think the opponent's going to be?
I think it's going to be Suicide.
Okay, so Joe, Suicide, Bison, Manic. Right, that's what I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope it is Manic, but I'm going to go with the more likely choice.
Okay, you're going to go with Suicide. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Or that's who I'm going with, but it could be anybody. Give us your thoughts in the comments, guys. Let us know who you think is going to be the opponent for Rohit Raju at Turning Point this weekend. You let us know. Let us know in the comments. It'd be interesting to see everybody's thoughts.
Great if everyone could think outside the box of Impact Wrestling. Guys like Leo Rush, for example. Let us know who you'd at least like to see come in from the outside to take on Rohit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who it is. It really, really would. Okay, moving on to the next match. which I think is going to be an absolute slobber knocker of a match, and that is the Good Brothers versus the North, the current champions, for the Tag Team Championship of Impact Wrestling and the world. Now, this is going to be incredible match. Now, if you think about this past week, we saw Cole versus Josh Alexander, which was an absolute, oh my God, that was a really, really good match. A lot of good to and fro. I had no idea who was going to win. It was a great, great match. The previous week, we got to see the Big LG take on Ethan Page, which again was a really, really good match. Now, once we start putting these guys together, we've got two world-class tag teams that know each other inside out. They're both sort of kind of like see each other as partners, as brothers, and they're best friends, which is interesting. Now, I'm going to go for. This is hard. This is really, really hard. Okay, because I'm a massive fan of the North.
Yeah,
I would love to see the North win and carry on and win, but I got a feeling that we're going to see the Good Brothers win.
Yeah, like you said, there's a massive brotherly love between the Good Brothers and the North. And listening to what the Good Brothers had to say about the North during your interview with you, they've got a hell of a lot of respect for them. Especially, they never heard of them before until they came to Impact Wrestling. So, and for them to work with them so well so quickly, I think the Good Brothers are going to do what the North did to LAX and pick up the victory on an Impact Plus, just to add that extra salt into the wounds of the North, and that their historical run as tag champions and now as two-time tag champions, just to really rub that extra salt in the wounds and really, really rub Ethan Page up, especially the wrong way to get him going a bit more.
Yep.
They can say, you did it, we did it better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's very interesting how this one's going to pan out, because I think that it's amazing that the North now are 2 times Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions. Not only have they got the longest reign now, but they've got it twice, so they're doubly proving how good they are. And let's face it, they are one of the best tag teams in the world. That is without any shadow of a doubt. But what we have in this tag division on Impact Wrestling is some of the best tag teams in the world. With this past week, we saw Reno Scum, having a great match with Falaba and Crazy Steve. It was that was a great match as well, and they looked so strong. So we're seeing some great stuff from them. Like we've mentioned before, we're seeing Triple XL, Total Heel. Yeah, they're really looking strong. So what we have got here is one hell of a tag division in Impact Wrestling. And I can only see good stuff in the future for this division. What we haven't seen for a while is much of Ace and Fulton, have we?
No. At the moment, Ace Austin's taking bookings up till December elsewhere, so I think that they're going to be out for until probably January, and then make a big comeback there. I know. Ace Austin's been talking about it on Twitter. He's taking bookings up till December elsewhere. He's going to be probably doing a lot on AEW and places like that with Madman Fulton. Building up their tag team, maybe. I don't know.
But all I know is that as a unit, they work really, really well together. And it'll be interesting to see if they come back into the fold. Obviously, we've got the injury issue with the Motor City Machine Guns at the moment. So with Alex Shelley. So, they're sort of kind of out of the division at the moment. And of course, we're losing the Rascals, aren't we? So... where is this going to go? Is there anybody coming in? Have we got some more tag teams coming into Impact Wrestling? Are we going to see the creation of a couple more? Like you said, we've got the that potential faction building with Sami Callihan, Ken Shamrock, Chris Bay. EY as well was in on that faction. And EY we didn't see this week, interestingly enough. But so there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the works. They're building new things. They're starting to create new storylines. So it's interesting to see where all this is going to go. And of course, it will all accumulate at in January. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. But I'm telling you now, I think this is going to be a great match, and I'm going to go with the Good Brothers. And you're going with the Good Brothers too, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to reluctantly go with the Good Brothers. You know, Josh Alexander is one of the best all-around technical hybrid athletes on that's ever come into Impact Wrestling. You know, we've had Brian Cage come in. We've got Willy Mac, and Josh Alexander is right up there with those guys. Seeing the stuff he can do, like the moonsaults and that he can do, and they're just so crisp. He can lock in submission moves almost anywhere.
I liken Josh Alexander to a Kurt Angle, my friend. I really do. You know, is he quite as good as Kurt Angle yet? Probably not, because, you know, Kurt had that sort of kind of aura of, you know, Olympic champion and all that kind of stuff. He had an aura about him that was created over a long period of time.
Yeah.
You know, could Josh do that? I think he could. I think he has the makings to be, you know, the next Kurt Angle type style of wrestler, and he's so good. I got so much time for Josh Alexander. He was a great guy. Just to point that one out, I did actually interview Josh Alexander a few months back. So if you haven't caught that one out on TNI-UK on Total Nonstop Impact YouTube channel, go and check that out. It's really good. But yeah, no, he's a great guy. And I think got a massive bright future. We know for definite we've got another year with Josh. I mean, we don't know what's going on with Ethan at the moment. We know that he's coming to the end of his current. I'm hoping that he will extend and we can move on. That would be great.
That's what I'm hoping for.
But I think what we got here is probably two of the best tag teams in the world going at it for the Impact World Tag Team World Championships.
Yeah, the Good Brothers won me over very quickly. I must admit, you know, I was
fun guys.
Oh yeah, there's just the charisma on its own was enough to get my attention a lot more, and then just to see what they've been doing over the past couple of weeks against the North, that they've got them one-on-one rather than multi-teams at each other. You really get to see what they can do.
Yeah, exactly. Now, moving on swiftly, we have got the. I mean, I think it's a double main event personally, because I think that the way that knockouts are being billed now, they are top of the card stuff. They're main event. So we've got Su Yung versus Deonna Purrazzo, and for the Knockouts Championship. Now, the interesting thing about this one is a no DQ. So this is definitely in the wheelhouse of Su Yung. Now, but, and I'll tell you what, interestingly enough as well, you know, it looks like Deanna's not going to have her curator by her side either, because this past week on Impact, we looked like Sue took her out. So that was interesting to see that as well. So we're going to have Deonna Purrazzo with no backup from Kimberly.
Yeah, that's something that
DQ match versus Su Yung. You know, this is going to be absolute, like, I don't know. This is going to blow the roof off the place. What do you think?
Now that you mentioned about Kimberly, I was wondering why she wasn't on the graphic with Deonna Purrazzo, and now there's a reason for it. Su Yung for me, now that sadly Kylie Ray has gone, Su Yung is the knockout of the year for me. You know, from how she's worked with Susie to Su Yung and Su Yung back in her element now, back in these hardcore matches, back where she has control over everything rather than Deonna Purrazzo. She's out of her element a bit, so she's going to have to adapt, and we know she can adapt well. Su Yung is going to tear the place down, and I really do hope Su Yung keeps the title, but we never know.
Here's the guarantee for me. The guarantee is it's going to be the best entrance of the night.
Oh, yeah.
Without doubt, and which is hard for me to say because I do love a Rosemary entrance. But Su Yung definitely is going to have the best entrance of the night. She's going to be hardcore. We're going to see blood. We're going to see fingers down. You know, we're going to see the glove, the mandible. We're going to see the glove. We're going to see the mandible claw. We're going to see, you know, chairs. Whatever it is, we're going to see it's going to be outside the ring. It's going to be in the ring. Is it going to go backstage? Is it going to turn into maybe a part ring, part cinematic?
Oh, you never know. It'd be great to see at some point Su Yung take Deonna into the Undead Realm or something similar. You know, like when Havoc took Su Yung out back in Mexico and Rosemary took Susie out back in Mexico. Something along the lines of that, just what Su Yung did to Madison Rain, Su Yung did to Ali. Yeah, I'd love to see that happen to Deonna Purrazzo, just to see how she'd react. You know, could she mentally torture that Su Yung has, Su Yung can throw at people?
Going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. And I have to say, I think this is going to be part ring, part cinematic, and then they'll end the cinematic bit and they'll come back in the ring to finish it. Yeah. I just got this feeling it's going to be one of those type of matches. I think it's going to be, again, I think, you know, from an entertainment point of view, I think it's going to be an incredible match. I cannot wait for this one. It's going to be amazing. And it will be a contender for match of the night for me. It will be a contender for match of the night. The knockouts are absolutely knocking it out of the park at the moment. So there's no reason why this is not going to be a contender for match of the match. It's going to be a great match. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to go with Su Yung for the win. And what are you going for, Joe?
I'm going to go for Su Yung as well. I do expect Deonna Purrazzo to maybe pull the upset and win, but I'm going with Su Yung because I can see these two go on, fight on to Hard to Kill, which would probably be a better place for Deonna Purrazzo to eventually pick up the win, or maybe even go on to Rebellion if that's coming back in April.
It would be interesting actually to see that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if Sue's going to lose it has to be, or if Deanna's going to regain it, it has to be at a big pay-per-view event like that. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. Okay,
we need a bit more of a lengthy run with the Knockouts title. We've not had a lengthy one since Jordynne Grace, and then before that was Taya Valkyrie. So Su Yung is the right person to really carry the title on a bit more, and it's going to build Deonna Purrazzo up a lot more as well, which is, she doesn't need too much building because she's so technically sound, but it's going to really bring out a bit more from her elsewhere.
I think it's just great having them interact in different ways, So Deanna's gone in there, as the virtuosa, she's getting in, she's taken out Jordynne Grace, in that kind of style of matchup. She goes out there, she takes out whoever else comes up to the thing and comes to the plate, and now she's been taken into a completely different story, a completely different realm potentially, and totally different way of wrestling, and that is the Su Yung variety of wrestling. And it's great to see the way that they're able to just move everything on. They rebuilt a story. It's great.
Could book some really extreme matches with them. They've got a no DQ now. Imagine a last knockout standing match or an I Quit match between them.
Yeah, it'd just be incredible. I mean, what I can see from this moment on, though, is I'm potentially seeing, we get a no DQ, Sue's going to win it. You know what I mean? But maybe someone else is going to start getting interjected into it. I don't know. Maybe Kimberly swaps sides, for instance. Maybe Kimberly becomes the undead bridesmaid, for instance. So it'd be interesting to see how this all pans out. But, bottom line is, this is going to be a great match, and for match of the night, and I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Okay, so moving on to what is classed as the main event, or the last match of the night, which is obviously going to be Rich Swann, the world champion, versus the Death Machine, Sami Callihan, the draw, world championship match. This is, we know that these guys have got chemistry in the ring, don't we? Because we've seen it before. Yes. We've not seen it for a world title, but we have seen it. We saw it for the X Division title, didn't we? Where Sami, didn't win. Rich Swann won.
Rich Swann had to go really dark. He had to go really dark in that match with the crossface with the barbed wire baseball bat to get Sami Callihan to give up. So these two, the bad blood between these two, the way they've reworked this storyline back into the sight of everyone has been fantastic. Sami Callihan's a great storyteller, and it's bringing Rich Swann back up into the main event, because everyone's been doubting him as the right choice for world champion. You know, he was brilliant as the X Division champion, and to see Rich Swann now back in where he belongs in the main event, regardless of what title he's going for. So to have him in Sami Callihan's the right guy to put him over.
Something's just popped into my head. Okay, so last night on Impact, we saw there's a clear group of people that are with Sami. So we've got Sami, we've got possibly EY, we've got Chris Bay, and we've got Ken Shamrock. And what we saw was people getting behind Rich and Eddie was the Rascals, Rich and Eddie, which then means so we've effectively got two, like a heel and a face factions or groups together now.
Yeah.
Right? Are we going to see the Callihan Death Machines faction of heels turn up in this main event to be nullified by Eddie and the Rascals?
I could see something's going to happen. It's got to, because they can't have this match be thrown out the window. You know, it's got to be a clean win or loss between Sami and Rich Swann. Even if Sami ends up using a bat to knock him out, it's still a clean victory for Sami.
You know, he's got to win. Somewhere along the line, I personally feel that Rich is going to win this. Okay, but I think it's going to be with a little bit of help from his friends fending off the heels of Sami Callihan. You know, I think that's what's going to come into play here. Or Swann is going to win clean against Sami.
Yeah.
And his cronies are all going to come out, lay the beat down on Swann, like in a big way. And Swann's friends, Eddie, the Rascals, are all going to come out. And we end up with a big brawl to end Turning Point. Boom. I've just wrote it, mate. I've wrote the ending to Turning Point this weekend. Not even worth watching, no. It's done. I'm joking, of course.
I'm going to go Rich Swann too. But I do see something similar. There's definitely going to be interference from Ken Shamrock, because we just know that's what Sami does now. And so we're going to see Eddie Edwards or the Rascals definitely come out. And seeing as how the Rascals came out last night, I think it's more likely going to be them over Eddie Edwards, just to give them that extra bit of publicity before they go.
Yeah, it's interesting. That never occurred to me at all until we started talking about this. That we saw that kind of like heel and face thing turn, you know, on Impact last night. So yeah, interesting how it's going to be. So we're both going for that then. So basically, let me have a look. So we've got a couple here actually. So there's a couple. We sort of pretty much agreed on most of it, but I think it's going to come down to who gets Eddie Edwards Davari, and who gets the Moose and Willy Mac matches right. So who gets the bragging rights, my friend?
Yeah, and like I said, I expect the Good Brothers to win, but I do hope the North win. So you know, there's a lot of guys there's a lot of guys who I expect to win, and then you watch this back later on, you'll see that there's guys who I agree with you that are going to win, but then there's guys who I really do want to win. But really, I think there's like the realistic choice, and there's the booking from the empty space.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. We will, of course, find out this Saturday at Turning Point. Impact Plus special, I believe, on Premier Sports as well. If you're in the UK, so if you're a Premier Sports subscriber, you will get to see this, as well as all the other, exclusive pay-per-views available on Premier Sports. So that's fabulous. But if not, and you've got Impact Plus, then you can catch it on there, which is going to be fantastic. I'm excited. If it's anything like Victory Road, we're in for a hell of a night, and it's pay-per-view quality, TV. And I could not recommend checking this show out enough. I love the fact that they're now sort of kind of like building storylines to these events. They are, they're including these events now as sort of kind of like part of the weekly programming, even into, other pay-per-views, etc. They're using it to forward storylines. It's becoming must-see shows. It's becoming a must-see.
They very briefly did that when they started off with the Impact Plus stuff. We did a couple with Sami, Callihan, Tessa Blanchard especially. They started to drop the hints that these matches are going to have effects on the Impact Plus, and then onto the weeks that follow. So it's good to see that it's finally coming back to there. It's just better marketing.
I think what's also good, and the pandemic has obviously allowed them to do this, and that is obviously increase the production value for these shows. They cannot go backwards now, because so whatever they do now, they have to be, the production value has to be as good, if not better, than it is currently. So, they can't go back to doing these sort of kind of house show things. They cannot. It has to be like this from now on, because otherwise people are just going to fall out of it. They're going to be like, they are not going to want to go back to that. So, what I think is, great is it's almost like we're getting these monthly sort of kind of pay-per-view quality, shows. And then we're also getting these, is it quarterly? It is quarterly, isn't it? We're getting 4 massive pay-per-views as well. So, as well as the weekly show, and of course Explosion as well, and all the other content that they're providing with us. And we're talking shop full keg we've had recently. When we had Impact Week leading up to Bound for Glory. Are we going to see stuff like that again? Are we going to see Impact Week again in January leading up to Hard to Kill?
I hope so.
I think that'd be really cool, and I hope they do that for all the pay-per-views. The way that they build into each of the pay-per-views, it could really help the buys. It could really help get eyes on the product. I'm excited for the future of Impact Wrestling. I'm excited the way everything's going. I cannot wait for Turning Point on Saturday. I'm excited for Talking Shop Mania 2, Rise of the Torturer on Friday. Wrestling, being an Impact Wrestling fan right now is great. Do you agree?
Oh, I'm so like I've said it before. I'm so glad I found the right alternative.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
It is the right alternative without shadow of a doubt. Anyway, guys, all that's left to say really is don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up, just like that. Yeah, we don't want none of these. We want plenty of these. Give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave us a comment about any of the stuff that we've talked about today. Give us our predictions. Give us your predictions on who's going to win the matches at Turning Point. Have you got any insight into what's going on with the Rascals? Maybe you agree that these sort of kind of like heel and face faction is starting to be built within Impact Wrestling at the moment. I don't know. Just leave whatever you think. Give us some love. We like that too. But we like interacting with you guys. So please leave us a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Because as long as you subscribe and you smash the bell. Smash. You'll never, ever miss any of the great content coming from the TNI crew. Obviously, we've got the weekly review show, which goes out live every Tuesday after it airs in the US on Access TV with Trent, with J-Bone, with Ringside Bill, the incredible Ringside Bill. And, of course, you've got Alicia on there as well. Alicia
and the scumbag.
And sometimes the scumbag, when he decides to turn up, the scumbag pops up on there as well.
I still think he shot Bravo.
You do? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Trent. I think he's the one who shot Bravo.
I think it's Alicia, mate. I'm going with Alicia on that one. I think it's her after his absolute destruction of her on the episode that he turned up that time. He ranted for a good 10 minutes on Alicia. So I think Alicia is a prime suspect in the Who Shot Bravo in the moment, but who knows? We're just gonna have to wait and see. But don't forget that we've got the throwback show as well, which is great, which talks about the NWA TNA stuff from right back in the Nashville days, the pay-per-views. The guys are talking about that, and of course we've got the weekly Impact Plus review as well, which talks primarily about Explosion, which is again, things are changing on Explosion. That's starting to really start to produce some really good shows. You get to see some good matches on there. So don't forget, exclusively on your Impact Plus, you get to see that. So so there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment, guys. So don't forget, like I said, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, subscribe to the channel, smash the bell to never miss a listen. All that's left to say is that's been Joe. I've been the Bison. This has been Turning Point, a prediction show of Impacted. Take care, guys.